いらっしゃいませ。ポッドキャスト18。こんにちは。G さんです。よろしくお願いします。Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is another episode of my daily podcast. And I would never have imagined that I can start out my podcast with proper Japanese starting point after 21 days. So, I'm actually quite proud of myself, to be honest. This is not what I planned to do. I started a YouTube channel basically as an experiment to see what should I do with it. There's many directions I could go. And now we end up with Japanese. So be it. Maybe this become a Japanese learning channel. Who knows? I'm now using this channel more or less as my daily accountability audio now. So stay tuned if you are learning Japanese and you can follow my progress. But today's topic is why I have chosen Japanese for my son to learn as the first Asian language, as the gateway into the Asian culture. Even though our family has very strong Asian ties, we are mixed blood. Everyone in my family is mixed blood. My son has 7 different bloodlines. However, it is not certain which first Asian language he should learn. So I decided for Japanese for the following reason, and I'm sharing this with you. And hopefully, at the end of this podcast, you will see it makes sense, not just for my son, also for everybody else who is non-Eastern person to learn Japanese as the first Eastern cultural gateway language. And as comparison, I will bring to you an example of somebody who is also a polyglot, who start learning another Asian country language, which is Chinese instead of Japanese. And she's amazing on video. She has a brand new YouTube channel as well, like myself. I just found her today. I will hold this all the way to the end as a bait for you to listen to my podcast to the end. Then I will reveal which one it is. And I can tell you this person has amazing tips for you to learn another language as well. And so stay until the end. And if you like my podcast, please subscribe, because that's the only way for me to get any kind of traction on YouTube. There's no other way. I don't have any advertising budget whatsoever. I just want to benefit as many people as possible. That's it. I'm not in here for the money. I probably wouldn't be getting any advertising revenue forever. That's my guess. But I just want to benefit as many people as I can who also wants to start learning a new language. And I just want to refer back to my very first video about Ikigai. So this entire video series is my way of paying back to the society. That's it. Now, without further ado, let's start with the first point, why Japanese is the best entry point. There's 3 main entry points for this language tree, which is Japanese, Korean, or Chinese. The Japanese today shares a lot the same root as the Korean and the Chinese. However, the Japanese language, the modern Japanese language, is a very easy language to pronounce. And this is very important because success in learning a new Asian language comes from positive feedbacks. And the only way for you to get positive feedback as a brand new learner is by trying to create output, means speaking the language you're learning, and other people would be able to understand you. And of all the 3 languages, Japanese is by far the easiest one to pronounce for everybody. And I promise you, if you would start learning Chinese instead of Japanese, the frustration coming from the tones, from the pitch accent, from the different intonations, from the local accents, like different regions speak different accents, and so on, it is incredibly frustrating for somebody who is not trained in pitch accent. And most people who speak Latin-based languages are not trained in pitch accent. So that's the first thing. And that includes my son as well. Just because you have Chinese blood doesn't mean you automatically can speak Chinese. That's not language, unfortunately, is not genetic. So for him, learning Japanese is an easy entry point for pronunciation, and he will get positive feedbacks. That can bring me to the second point. When it comes to cultural feedbacks in these 3 languages, the Japanese people are the most welcoming towards learners in their language, because most Japanese have difficulties learning or speaking other languages. So anybody who's willing to take on Japanese as a foreign language, the people in Japan absolutely highly appreciate it. I know this from first hand experience because I've been visiting Japan since I was 23 years old. So over my years of experiences with Japanese people around the world, and particularly in Japan, I can absolutely tell you, if you start speaking Japanese, even the rudimental Japanese, to any Japanese people, they appreciate you for that. They truly appreciate you for that. They are really the nicest people you could find when it comes to learning a language from. They don't try to correct you, which is actually the correct way to teach somebody's language. Most people think if you want to learn a language, you should have somebody who corrects you all the time. That's not true. That is not true. The best way to learn a language is by creating input-output opportunities and have a environment which give you autocorrect. That's called autocorrect, which means, let's say you talk to a native Japanese speaker, he's too polite to correct you, but he will continue to speak in a proper Japanese. And you will automatically adapt towards him because you know natively in your head that what you are saying is just imitation of the person who actually mastered the language. So you don't need to be correct all the time. You will have auto-correction going on. And if somebody corrects you all the time, actually give you negative feedbacks, that is very discouraging towards learning, actually. Best example is me in France. I lived in Germany for many, many years, and I'm close to the German-French border. So whenever I try to learn French in France, even with my French friends, they don't like it. They just don't like it. They just flat out tell me I'm bad with my French, why I'm bad with this, why I'm bad with that. They are very direct when it comes to the language. They are protective towards the language like a national treasure. It's the way it is. I'm not criticizing them. So my French suck. And one reason I never learned French properly because everyone tells me my French is bad. So c'est la vie. Okay. Now, the last part is the cultural context part. Why you should learn Japanese instead of Korean or Chinese. Unless you're a K-pop or K-drama fan, then yeah, go for it. The content is everything. I tell you this, learning a language, content is everything. Nobody learns language for the sake of learning a language. You learn the language to access original content. And I have already been benefiting from learning Japanese for the last 21 days. I started out with full immersion in different animes. And the nuances in the original language in the animes is so different to anything you could get from dubbing. And in general, I'm not a fan of dubbing anything anyway. The content in Japanese is so vast online. You can literally watch millions of hours of content, good content in Japanese, original Japanese, for free online. Not the same thing I cannot say about Chinese, simply because the heavy censorship by the CCP, of course. Maybe I get banned for saying the word CCP. Who knows? I'm not going to say any more than that. I'm just saying cultural sensitive content moderation is a norm in China. Any content you access in Chinese needs to be consumed with certain caution. Korean is a different system. Korean content, I like them, but not really my cup of tea, to be honest, because the Korean dramas are very formulative, and the music is very pop culture driven, which means very little diversity in it. But that's my personal opinion, so don't take offense. K-pop fans, I like BTS like any other person. I even listen to BTS from time to time. However, I prefer Japanese content, particularly in animation movies or travel videos. I love traveling in Japan, so I enjoy travel videos from Japan. That's another example why I say Japan is a good starting point for my son. And now comes to what I promised you. The video I found online. This channel is called Alexandra Proskurina. I hope I don't butcher her name. Alexandra Proskurina, she's, I believe, Russian, because her Russian is the most flawless of the 7 languages she showcased in her video as a polyglot. Her German is impressive. I have to say that, if just in case she watched me ever this video, her German is absolutely impressive. Don't know how she learned the German, but she does not have any Russian accent in her German. Actually, her English has a slight Russian accent. I don't know how that happened, but this is the German part of me saying I'm not very diplomatic when I switch to my German mode. Just being direct. Your German is amazing, Alexandra. In case you're watching this video, keep doing your German. It's very, very good. Like 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Your English is good. I'll give your English an 8 out of 10. I give my own English a 6 out of 10. By the way, my own pronunciation English is not great. I only started learning English at the age of 19, solely for dating purposes. I went to Finland, couldn't speak a word, so I started learning English to date Finnish girls. That's it. So back to the main topic. Just started learning Chinese, and she's a polyglot. She's very gifted, and she has a method of learning every language. She's proven to be very good in learning language. Difficult languages and Arabic, Turkish, those languages are more difficult, and she's able to learn those quickly. That means she's definitely capable of learning Chinese. And her first Chinese words, ni hao, was done pretty well. I would even as a native speaker, if I don't try to say in the Chinese way, like when I'm talking in English, when I say ni hao, it becomes very weird. It's not really good Chinese. I have to go into the Chinese mode, say properly ni hao. I need to do that to be able to sound correct. So her first ni hao was really good, and that's only just a few days in, right? Only just 1 day in, maybe. So she got a very solid foundation for her tongue work, let's call it that way. And I'm sure she can master the tones, but it will take a long time. I'm just saying it's going to be a uphill battle. And as a side note, in case she's still listening, why not learn Chinese and Japanese at the same time for the beginning and see which one you like more? I'm just saying, you don't know, right? Maybe Japanese content is more fun. Who knows? I'm just saying. There's tons of content on internet for both Chinese and Japanese. At the beginning, easily you can learn 2 languages at the same time, and they share a lot of roots anyway. A lot of cheat codes, basically. I'll blend in the cheat codes in front of us right now. Because right now, after 21 days learning Japanese, I'm testing my own cheat codes. What I'm looking right now is the N1 kanji test, which means the highest level kanji test for Japanese learners. Normally you start testing yourself for this after 2 years, 3 years learning Japanese, because I know both simplified and traditional Chinese. So I'm just checking kind of a peek into the future to see if I can at least read all the Chinese properly or kanji properly, and it's not difficult at all. Yeah, so those are the examples I can give you on the screen. And so basically, if you learn either one, you will be able to learn the other one just by changing the pronunciation. The meanings are exactly the same, and they share so many common words. It's just in writing style is different, so that's that. However, pronunciation, that's the key again, back for my son. The same word pronounced in Chinese or in Japanese are completely different, and in Japanese is so much easier than in Chinese. So much easier. So much easier. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. All right, thanks a lot for listening, and choose wisely, as an old man once said in the movie. Choose wisely. Bye-bye.